Hello and welcome back to another video. I'm trying out a new angle instead of like straightforward. This one's more top down. And in this video, I actually don't know what subscriber special it's going to be because I've had this video as an idea since I hit 2,000 subscribers, but I never got any questions. It's a Q&A. I never got any questions, and then there wasn't enough time to do any like consecutive like 3,000 or 4,000 until I ended up hitting 5,000 subscribers, and that's when I started like, okay, like I actually need to start planning this out, and then it just kept getting out of hand. So I think right now I have like 9.5k subscribers. This took me so long to edit that not only did I move, but it's 11,000. So thank you guys. Which is crazy. It's crazy. I don't know how I feel. I don't know anything. It doesn't feel real. Like it doesn't, and I think that's why I sound so chill about it. Like it's not normal. I don't know how to feel about it because it doesn't feel like a thing that actually happened. But I still have a video I need to edit and get out before this one. So honestly, by the time this comes out, this might be a 10k subscriber special, which would be crazy, but very cool. But we're doing a Q&A. I'm doing a Q&A. I'm going to answer questions that I didn't get a lot of questions. I had to go through my comments and like for literally the past year and a half to find random questions that would be serviceable for a video instead of like something I could answer in 10 seconds as a reply. And I did like, I think 3 different Instagram question things and got minimal results. But so this is me trying to set this up a couple of times and not giving up. But we're gonna get right into it. I don't really have categories of questions like most people do. Like sometimes people get enough questions where it's like, oh, here are my art questions, personal questions. These are all mainly art questions. We're gonna get right into it. All right, so the first question that I have is, what drove me to study art? It's a thing of questions, and I wrote it down because it's a lot of things. But what drove me to study art? Did I have a deep moment to figure out what I wanted to do? Did I always know I would do art? And did I have a wake-up call? And I wrote out this entire paragraph, and it'd be really lame if that's just what I say right now. But basically, no, I didn't have a moment. I didn't really have a I never felt this calling my entire life. Basically, I always knew I'd do something artistic. Actually, up until high school, I really wanted to be an actor. Like I really wanted to do acting or be like in film. Went to a performing arts high school, and it didn't have visual arts, otherwise I would have changed my major to this, but I started as an acting major. Our thing was kind of set up like college, so that's why we have majors. But I started as an acting major, and then my teacher sucked all of the life and care and whimsy and passion out of my soul and crushed my hopes and dreams. And so I switched majors into AV, which is audiovisual, which is topical. And I really liked that more because I feel like I could still be a good performer. Like I think I'm entertaining. I think I could be a good performer. I wasn't really passionate about stage performances, which was what my teacher focused on, but I really I love movies, I love TV, I love all that sort of stuff. So I always wanted to get into that, but I've always been deeply insecure about my appearance, and the thought of being in an industry that relies on me being critical of my appearance more than I already am just as a normal person, I don't think I would make it. I was always very scared of that as a career, and in high school as my body image and self-worth was getting a lot worse, and this teacher was just awful. I was like, being in front of a camera is not necessarily what I want to do. As much as I like this, I want it to be my control. This is my control. This is my camera. This is my setup. No one else is doing anything. This is me. And I kind of got on a tangent. This is not a lot of what I wrote down, but basically, I never thought I'd be a visual artist my entire life. I always liked it. I always drew a lot. I always doodled, but that was always normal kid stuff. My mom just really wanted us being very tactile children, and I think that was normal for the time, because I was born in 2005, so now I feel old. But back in my day, you didn't just sit your kid in front of an iPad and call that parenting. So my mom always really fostered us doing whatever we liked, and I'm sorry about the noise because there are bikers driving up and down the street and I can't stop it, so you have to deal. I don't know, I was never really like, I never did any like competitions, or I never like did child classes, like anything that was in school. I liked it in school. That was my favorite class, was art class, because it was just messing around. But the thing about me as a person and me as a child that has stayed consistent is I am constantly in my own head and daydreaming and making up my own stories. If I'm not like watching a movie in my head, I'm making a movie in my head, and I've always been like that. I actually wrote a lot more than I like drew stuff when I was younger, because I mean, little kids, unless you throw them into those art classes, they're not very good artists, and I knew that. So I was like, I'm not comfortable doing something I'm not perfect at, and it's generally stayed the same. But I try a lot more now, I think, especially with art. I will at least try with that. It's the only thing I care about. But so I used to write a lot until middle school, when I had other friends who would write a lot. We all had Wattpad, and we would all write original stories or like fan fictions and stuff. And I was like, okay, being like, we all write and we're all bad at it and it's fun and I love that, but I want to be better at something. Not necessarily better than my friends, but like I want there to be something that makes it me. So I started focusing a little bit more on drawing. So I would, while they wrote stuff, I would like draw a little thing of their fan fiction, or like draw all of us in different, like those, I forget what it was, but it was like Pinterest before Pinterest, but like when you like make the PNGs of the outfit cutouts that they'd always have in the Wattpad like fan fictions, I'd always draw us in those sorts of things, because it was just something different that my friends didn't care to do. So it was like, ooh, I did this. Yeah, so it just kind of faded out of writing, but that inherent desire to create a story has stayed with me. I don't like making art to make a thing, which sounds strange. I like to make art to tell a story. That's why I don't like standard drawing classes or standard art classes, because this isn't saying anything. Drawing a still life, to me, doesn't say anything. It's not a story in my head that I am showing you that you can see unfold, because again, I am a movie person, but I love art, I love drawing. So how does it's all about creating a story in the way that I actually can do it in the best way that I can, and to me that's just drawing. That's why I want to make a comic, because I can't animate. I don't want to be in the film industry. I don't like relying on people. I'm too much a control freak. I would be a horrible director. I mean, I'd be a good one, but people would not want to work with me, I don't think. So I'm trying not to talk too much as I answer this first question, but I'm trying to explain that like it was never about drawing, it was never about writing, it was never about photography or film or whatever random hobby I have. There are a lot of people who do things because they enjoy the feeling of it, they enjoy the process of it, and I do love the process of art. I do love that, but they love the learning of it and I don't. That's not me. So I think that's a bad mindset, and it's a mindset I'm trying to not have, because there are so many hobbies I want to get better at, like filming and cinematography and photography and, you know, all of these things. I'm trying to do them to have fun instead of do them so that somebody likes me because of them. Like, that's the root of all this. That's why like I just said with my friends, I wasn't doing it to be better than them, but I was doing it so that they would have something to like me about and want me around. So I do have this little bit of a toxic relationship with my art, but I think it's just become mine, so I don't feel that much that way about it. I started getting into the thought of like going to art school because I read this book, and I can actually grab it for you because I'm in the place where it is. Ignore all the gunk that it's covered in. I ripped the plastic stickers from libraries off of it because I took it from my school library. We're not going to talk about that, but it is Better Than Running at Night by Hilary Frank. I don't know if it's a good book. I actually haven't read it in a hot minute. I'm going to put it on my desk so that I read it. I read that book and I was like, oh wait, there's art colleges. Like there's colleges for art. Like there's, like you go to college to be an artist. That's what this book is about. It's about a girl going to art school during like a winter session, and it's more about that winter session and how she carries on afterwards, but she got in late. This book really inspired me to actually like research that and look into that. And I live in New England. I know I've given like clues of which state I live in, but I don't like to just say it. But I live in New England, and so I was looking for schools close to me. I literally looked up art schools near me, and it was like RISD and Pratt and SVA, which is my dream school. I wasn't super into it when I was in middle school when I read that book, but I was super into RISD, and it was this YouTuber, Cup of Jasmine, I think, and she had a RISD vlog. She goes to the Pratt Institute, or she went to the Pratt Institute, and she's a tattoo artist now, which is cool. But she would ride up the train to Rhode Island to go to RISD because she was friends with somebody there, I think. And so I found those vlogs, and I found like this whole other side of art YouTube that wasn't just like creepshow art and like drama channels. And so that kind of gave me this new lease of like, oh wait, I can do this in life. This is something I can do. And even though that was in middle school and I still was trying to pursue acting in high school, I always kept art very close to me as a hobby. But it was COVID. When COVID locked down, I was able to focus on art a lot more because there was nothing to do. There wasn't anything to do. The lockdown happened March 13th or 15th. It was a Friday. I think March 13th, I'll go with that, of 2020, obviously. And in early May, wait, I have it. I'm sorry I'm giving you this timeline, but this is incredibly specific and I need you to know this. And yes, it had to be late May because my freshman year of high school, I found Tameka's channel and I really liked her. And I didn't know what she was drawing in. I literally thought she was drawing in a book. So one of my friends gave me a copy of Milk and Honey by Ruby Carr and none of us liked it. So I drew in it. And I'm not gonna show you anything that's in there, but this is my first like real sketchbook and it started June 5th, 2020. And this was one where I was like, I'm gonna be good at this. I'm gonna copy Tameka, but I'm gonna like figure this out and I'm gonna be like actually good at art instead of doodling. So that was my awakening, basically. Next question is like, what's my OC story actually about? So what are Cole and Gwen? And I don't know how to explain it without spoiling, because this is something I've had in my brain since my freshman year of high school, and I am a sophomore in college, which is crazy. So I wrote down, the genre is really hard to define because technically it's like a slice of life romance in like how it would be formatted is like that, but also a lot of horror elements. Oh, bear with me, and like a lot of drama, but not drama. I don't know. It's just I hate genres. I just wanted to make a story that's a life, really, like a real life, but just, you know, a little crazy. But basically, it's about love, relationships, mental illness or instability, trauma, abuse, and kind of how, in spite of all that, or despite all that, our choices are what we make them, and they are our responsibility. So if you don't know, I have these two characters, Cole and Gwen, and I'll show you them right here. Sorry, on my iPad baby moment. So these are Cole and Gwen, and you can see their heads. You can see this is so hard, guys. This is so hard. But you can see that they have Cole has a set of horns and Gwen has a halo, and I get a lot of questions asking me if, like, what that means, like if they're angels, if they're demons. They are not. So I'm gonna put an image here, and it is the image from Lilo and Stitch where she draws this badness meter. It's like juice inside of him, and basically it's saying this is how bad he is, or this is how bad he is, or this is how good he is, you know? So to me, in this universe, that is what the horns are. The horns are a measure. They're both measures of morality, basically. So children usually have those halos. They mean you're kind of innocent to the world. People who have halos are very kind of actually treated pretty badly because they're seen as stupid, you know? They're seen as like, you don't know what the real world's like, you haven't been in the real world, you're childish, you're immature, you're naive. It's very hard to explain. But that's kind of what the halos mean. And the horns, everybody has them. Everybody. I mean it. That's why I draw my persona with horns. I'm not technically super comfortable doing that on like a religious level, and so it's really funny when I get comments saying like, oh, Jesus loves you, because it's like, I know he does, obviously, like that's his whole deal, but they say it like I'm not a Christian. But I draw my persona with it because I'm not a perfect person. I don't think that makes me a bad person though. You know, everybody does bad in life, everybody does good in life, and so the kind of point of that universe is that that measurement of morality is really stupid and really bad. Because Cole is a case of a person who was born without a halo. He never had a halo. He was kind of this kind of genetic, not genetic I guess, but it's this sort of like birth malformation, I guess, where based on how his life trajectory was supposed to go because of his circumstances, because of who his parents were, because of how they were, specifically his father, he wasn't going to grow up to be a good person in the eyes of some thing. Normally, you are born with a halo, and in your late teen years, you grow a set of horns, and they're like that big. They're very tiny. You saw Cole's, they were not, because he was born with no halo, so they just grew, and it's a whole thing. So basically, I had this idea of two people who are not what they look like, and kind of the opposite of what they look like in a way, and not what you expect them to be, and good people despite all that. Because Gwen has a halo, but she's not stupid. She's an adult woman. She's actually, I have her like a couple months to a year older than Cole. I think I'll just have it a couple months, but enough for it to be she's like 23 and he's 22, right? Like that little bit of a difference. Because you don't think she's the older one. She is short. She's a very like tiny woman. She looks, because of the halo, you think she's younger, so people talk down on her when she's not a child, and she does not act like a child, and I'm not gonna get into how she does not act like a child, but she's not. And then Cole is assumed to be a very bad person and has to kind of persist in spite of that and be a good person despite of that. It's actually why he's a good person, because everyone says he won't be. So he's like, well, I'm just gonna do it anyways, because I'm not gonna be what you guys say I am. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. I don't really want to give too much of a story rundown because it is kind of spoilery, but basically Gwen is escaping from Gwen left her very bad, very abusive partner for a reason. And through literal fanfiction scenario, I don't know, her and Cole become roommates. They are not friends, they are not dating, they are not into each other. They become roommates, and they're very kind of at each other's throats for a little bit because they do not like the other person. Cole doesn't like somebody invading his space. He's a very isolated person. He does not have too many friends. The people that he was close to have died, or they are not friends anymore due to fights and everything. I don't want to get into Cole's backstory because Cole's backstory is I've crafted it in like a metal forge to be perfect and awful, but perfect for him. So I don't want to say too much about it. But Cole does not have anybody. He does not like being around anybody because everybody thinks he's awful. So why would he want to be around you? Get away from me. He's still a good person. He still does good things. He still does not do awful things, but doesn't like being around people because they always assume about him. Gwen does too, because she doesn't know him, and Gwen literally has no other option. It is here, it is with her ex, or it is being homeless. So she's fighting tooth and nail to stay. But basically, very, very quickly, because I don't want there to be too much of a first chapter of a comic with them fighting, because yes, they will be kissing, yes, they will be getting together, but we need to get to that. We need the slow burn. We need this to feel like a real relationship. Basically, very quickly, they realize they are wrong about each other. I don't know. So that's kind of a little info dump about my characters without trying to explain the story too much. It's literally about Gwen escaping an abusive relationship, finding a friendship and a kinship with Cole before they have any interest in each other. It's really important to me that they like aren't into each other for a while. The next question is how I make characters, and this is gonna be really short. I always design first. I always go design first. That was how I made Cole and Gwen. I see something, either I copy it down or I just have this idea. Cole was very much just an idea, whereas Gwen took a lot of trial and error. Gwen originally had literally the like Mona Flowers hairstyle with like the green Mavis bangs, and then it just kind of became more of a shorter bob with normal bangs, but they're still green. That hasn't changed. The horns and the halos were the first thing I figured out about the two of their designs, and so I created the two of them together. Honestly, the best way to write a character is to make more characters. Literally you need protagonist, possible love interest if that's the story you're going for. I always go for that because I'm a sucker for romance. The friend, the antagonist, backstory characters. Like there are certain gaps you might need to fill or certain characters you might want to make. And so you start there, you have that very tropey, very basic, this is what that character is, and you take off running from there. So that's kind of how I go. I love tropes. I love silly tropes. Maybe it's because I grew up on slasher movies where it's always, you know, the final girl, the jock, the nerd, the this. Everyone fits that group, but everyone does it differently. There are good slasher movies and then there are bad slasher movies, and they kind of have the same character makeup. Also, wait, I like Power Rangers. I like Power Rangers and slasher movies, so this all fits. I think of the kind of character I want to make. I think of a design that fits it. I tweak the design forever and ever and ever. I'm literally still tweaking designs of like all the side characters and stuff, nailing down those final details just because I need them to feel right. No, I use so many things to inform the writing of my stories and characters. A lot of music, honestly, mainly music, but like movies I like, pre-existing characters I like that I want them to kind of emulate. That's kind of how I make characters. And then I don't have cutout questions anymore. I literally just had those ones. So I'm hoping I can answer these ones. It's just screenshots from like Instagram responses. And someone said, who or what inspires you? And everything really, really music and movies, they inspire me so much. Music just because I'm constantly listening to it and I'm constantly making up my own story for that music. Actually, when I listen to music, I'm mainly picturing it as like the soundtrack to a movie in my head or a story in my head. And then movies, I'm kind of seeing how like I like this shot composition or I like this story and I'm not really a pretentious movie snob. You see my shirt? Do you want to know what my favorite movie is? Do you want to know what I'm going to say my favorite movie is? I'm not pretentious, okay? I'm not pretentious. I love stupid stuff. Not to say I'm not watching a movie because of the shot composition or the color grading or the this and the that. I appreciate all of that in a movie, but if a movie has a good color palette, next time I draw, I'm probably gonna have a better understanding of color because I was just absorbing something that really understood color or composition or whatever. So kind of literally everything. I have a list of my favorite artists somewhere. But I will say Tameka. There's a lot more than just Tameka, but mainly her just because I still get comments saying I'm copying her, which I'm totally not. Like, at least not anymore. But like, I never traced any of her stuff. I never posted like direct copies. I legit will never make a man character with red hair because of her, because like I don't want to, that's just gross, you know. Like, I definitely know that I toe the line of being very inspired by her styles, but I'm not gonna purposefully go out of my way to make the connection obvious, you know. Brujo Ari is another artist I'm getting really inspired by, not necessarily even with visuals, but like I really love their visual style, but I don't know, it's just the entire vibe. It's seeing somebody do exactly what I want to do and make, you know, an animated story, especially with two characters that are kind of similar to mine, at least when you look at them, like Kate and Alex. They give me Cole and Gwen vibes, you know? That's just because I see my characters in everything. Can't live without seeing them in everything because they're They're my babies. Yeah, they're another artist that really inspires me because I like seeing where they're going because they're making an animated show, which is really cool. Another artist, Vivzies, the creator of Ghost Island, also another one where I'm like, I'm not really taking anything from your art that I'm looking at, but it's you. I'm inspired by you. You're doing exactly what I want to do. Mainly artists that I like now are ones that I like their trajectory rather than their actual art. That sounds bad. That sounds bad. I like artists' art, but with Tameka, it was like I need to eat everything you've ever made and then just make that. Like that's all it is. Like with her, it's very much the visuals, and if she did make a story or like whatever, but I don't know, there's just something about how she draws that just really connects with me because it's fun and it's whimsical and it's cartoony, but it's very dark. It's very dark. It's like something in the eyes, and then always in her background she has something creepy going on or someone staring off like they're weird. It just hits me right in my core of like this speaks to me, and so I really resonate with her art, whereas other artists that I like now, I want to see myself in them in a way, and I still want to emulate bits and pieces of their style. My art is a soup of everything that I like. I have to change my camera battery. Okay, we're going quick. That's kind of what inspires me and the artists I love. My family also inspires me. Just honestly, I realize that there's a lot, not like one-to-one direct connections, but kind of everything my mom ever taught me as a kid has come out, and everything she's ever told me about her life has come out in how I write Cole, because I feel like she's felt like him a lot in her life, and because I got to see somebody rise up and be better than anything anyone ever told them. That's a really admirable kind of life story, I guess, and so I wanted to make that, and that kind of came out in Cole. Someone asked next comic eye emoji, and I don't know what that means, but basically Cole and Gwen is my magnum opus, my one reason for living. It feels like I don't really have many ideas after them, but I do, and I'm sorry for being distracted, iPad babying, but I do have ideas for like a comic I think I want to do before I make Cole and Gwen's comic, just because I need to learn, and it's kind of these characters. I don't really know about these last three, but especially these two. I've been drawing these two a lot. Kind of in my head, it's got very like Baraska parts 1 and 2, not 3 and 4. We're not talking about 3 and 4, but like Baraska, like Life is Strange, like Gravity Falls, like kind of mystery solving. Basically in my head what this one would be about is like she moves to this town as like a kid and she's a little brother, and then he goes missing, and then she grows up, and then she moves into the town, and they're the same age, you know. She moves into the town, and then her little sister goes missing, and she's like, hey, this happened to me like years ago, and I've been obsessively trying to find him, whatever. And they kind of become friends through their mutual grief and trying to help each other out. And then like I need more characters, so I'm still in the process of designing the rest of them. I'm thinking it could be like some sort of like cryptid ghost hunter team thing, just because I love that sort of stuff. Favorite video game right now? If I have to be real, it's either if you mean right now in this moment, it's this. It's this. I play it all the time. It's really concerning. And if you want me to be even more real, it's Chef Town on my iPad. But if you mean like a legitimate video game that has like artistic value and merit, probably Omori. It's just always gonna be my favorite. It's gonna be my basic answer. I haven't played it in a hot minute, but I'm trying to, my boyfriend has 2 Switches, and I'm trying to get him to transfer the data of one of them over to another one so that the one that will be wiped can be mine, so that I can get Omori on the Switch and play it like on the go, because I'm an addict. Some other games I like Sally Face, I like Hades. I just started playing Stardew Valley quite recently. Well, I didn't just start playing. I started playing Stardew Valley like slowly over the semester. I think I started during spring break, and then I fell off after because I just have to, you know, go to school and go to work and everything. But I do like Stardew Valley. My cousin asked how, and that's just it. He's a very cryptic fellow. And I don't know. Because what is that in reference to? Someone asked, what's your favorite step of drawing, like sketch, line art, etc., and why? Line art. It is a line art, and that is because of Tameka. I started getting more into line art because of her style. It's very line art heavy, but I always really liked the line art. Even when like in anime and stuff, like when I was copying like fairy tale art, I missed that in my art progression. It was fairy tale that got me into drawing drawing a lot. I love line art. I don't know, there's just some sort of satisfaction, and the more people say they hate doing a thing in art, the more I want to do it. Like, people hate drawing hands. I love drawing hands. I love it. I torture myself with it. I'm not really good at it, but I do it because people avoid it, so I'm like, I'm gonna do it. Inspo behind Cole and Gwen, I kind of went over that already. Like, my mom, movies I watch, stuff like that. I don't know. Kind of another inspiration is kind of like religious hypocrisy, especially with using religious imagery. And this also ties into another question, is the Cole and Gwen story religious? No, it isn't, but it is kind of a commentary on how I feel about organized religion as a whole. I do think God exists. I do think I have a complicated relationship despite how simple it feels, because I don't like the church. I don't like any church. I'm Episcopalian, so I like my church, I guess, but I haven't gone in quite a while. But I hate how God is used by people to justify horrible things, and I feel like people use God to be a bad person, which is just completely the opposite point of everything any religion says, specifically Christian ones. Yeah, it's something that really annoys me, is like super religious people's like hypocrisy, where they're like, oh, you know, Christ preaches love and we should all be like Christ, but oh my god, you want to kiss a man? That's gross. No, it's not. People should love who they love. People should be who they are, you know. They should, however that is, you should be able to be who you are. And I don't think you don't need to understand everything in life. Like, for example, while I have all these hot takes here with religion, people get super pressed about trans people and like neo-pronouns, and I don't understand neo-pronouns. I don't care if people go and use neo-pronouns because it makes them happy. So I'm going to respect that, because people should be able to be happy, because we have this one life. We have one life, one stupid little tiny meaningless life, and we should all treat it like the kind of gift that it is, you know, and like the gift it is to each other. I feel like I sound like I'm being sarcastic, and I'm not. I'm just very angry at people who live their lives saying be kind and be loving and use that to justify hatred. So apologies for sounding angry. No, the Cole and Gwen story is not religious. No, it's not necessarily like direct commentary on religion, but it is something I used to feed the visual language of everything going on. So yeah, I don't know how to answer that without it being a little bit messy. Favorite OC headcanon? I don't know, cause like I can't have headcanons because that just makes them canon, but I do like this headcanon, so I'll talk about headcanons my friends have had. I do like the headcanon one of my friends had of Cole being autistic, because I do think that relates to him being such an outsider and feeling so not in tune with the rest of the world. I do really like that. I do love when people make headcanons of Cole being a trans man, like FTM. That was very close to being canon, and then I was like, I didn't know if I could write that correctly because cis woman. So I was like, well, I'm gonna leave it pretty ambiguous. So I just want to throw all the hints, and like, yes, canonically he is a cis man, but you can headcanon him however you want. I am very open to like diverse interpretations of my characters, because I don't think I can do it properly, but I think it's very lovely when people see themselves in somebody else's character, and it's like, ooh, I want to headcanon them to be a little bit more like me. Why did you start making YouTube videos? So I started making YouTube videos my freshman year of high school. I started with an Avatar: The Last Airbender speed paint in my sketchbook and a sketchbook tour of my first sketchbook. And I want you to hold my hand as I say this. I was copying Tameka. Whoa, who would have guessed? Yeah, I really liked her stuff. I just wanted to try it out. I always loved YouTube and the thought of like making YouTube videos. My senior year of high school, I started getting it more into like watching life vlogs and stuff, specifically Kate Brock and like Karis Rachel. And I was like, oh, you guys are literally just like, this is kind of a charmingly bad video. And people like it, and I like it. And I was like, that's something I could do. I can like actually romanticize the life I have instead of wanting this huge, big, glamorous lifestyle and like the only other kind of vloggers that exist are like, I liked those videos because I just kind of grew attached to some of the personalities with them, but I never wanted to really be that, and I never really liked that, but I did like the thought of being like, hey, this is me, I'm doing a thing. I did enjoy that. When I saw it was just normal people making normal videos just with their phone, I was like, oh, I can do that. So I changed up my channel because I couldn't really consistently make art videos. It made me have art block very fast because the thought of like sketching and trying to create an idea on a camera is impossible, and recording conditions in my house are impossible things. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just give it a shot. And so my last 2 weeks of high school ever, I was just like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start cataloging my life because I'm very obsessed with archiving and stuff. Like my art account that I probably should delete and restart for better growth and engagement, I've had since I was in 7th grade. I can't get rid of it just because like it has all my archived old art and everything. I don't know, I like it for archival reasons, and I also do want to make a second channel of like video essays, so those kind of like PNG video essay things where I could do art tutorials, I could do a lot of art focused videos, I could go and talk about a game I like or a movie or a thing. I don't know, I like the thought of that. It feels very freeing, and it also feels like something I could actually do as a job. I don't feel like I could do this as a job. My life is not interesting enough for me to be able to routinely post a life video, but I have a lot of thoughts on a lot of things and I like watching stuff, so I could do video essays. What are your favorite games, movies, books? Okay, games I already answered. It's Omori. I also play Hollow Knight. I do like Hollow Knight. Favorite movies? I should have thought about that one more. I'll say the FNAF movie, but like horror movies. I like Nightmare on Elm Street. I like Scream. I like the slashers. I don't like gore. I can't deal with it. Call me whatever names you want. I don't like gore. Don't like it. A recent favorite, it's not recent, it came out a couple years ago, but I really like the Black Phone movie. I think that one's pretty good. Princess Mononoke, Studio Ghibli, I really like that. I think that's my favorite Ghibli movie so far, out of only watching Princess Mononoke and Ponyo. I do love Ponyo. I think my favorite Pixar movie is The Incredibles. I really loved Pixar as a studio until lately. Turning Red's another good one, but it's not like an all-time favorite. Oh wait, I have Letterboxd! I have Letterboxd! Ah, this is great! I can tell you guys what I like on Letterboxd. Zilla -1 is a recent favorite. My boyfriend and I watched it this past Halloween when it re-ran in theaters. Really good movie. Perks of Being a Wallflower, that's a favorite. I do love that movie quite a bit. Books are hard. My first favorite book series was The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare, and I want to reread it to see how insane it was because I was reading that stuff when I was 6 years old. Current favorite books I would say are my Ava manga. I am quite into them. I very much like them. I do love Evangelion. Now, I'm trying to rush through this, I'm sorry. I literally need to leave in 10 minutes. Albums, I will say albums really quick. I love Nirvana, or bands. I love Nirvana. I will say they're like one of my first favorite bands. Even though they're like a basic pick, their music resonates with me heavily. I love them a lot. Looking at my vinyl collection in the corner, that's why I'm staring off into space. Wallows is another favorite. I have been a Wallows fan since Pleaser and Suntan and the other one that came out at that time. All three really amazing. And Ethel Cain. Ethel Cain is my baby. I'm seeing her in September with my partner and I'm so excited. Are you a business major / what do you study in college? That's actually gonna be the last question. I go to a community college. So I study business, entrepreneurship, and illustration. I'm dual majoring, so I'm graduating a bit later than everyone else. It's supposed to be a 2-year program, but you stay until you graduate, basically. I get free tuition. I get free tuition till I graduate. I'm dual majoring, and that's because I want to be self-employed. I want to be freelance. I want to have my own business, like Etsy or something, or, you know, making YouTube and content and like making my own content. Stupid. I don't want to call it content. Making media, making my comic. I don't want to be employed by somebody else. I can't deal with that. I can deal with that. I actually do prefer the structured routine of like employment elsewhere. That's not what I want my life to be. I want my life to be spent creating, and I'd rather be broke and happy than... No, I wouldn't. I'd rather have money if I'm being for real. I say that as if I'm not signing myself up for 2 full-time jobs during the summer. I love money, but I want to make that money being happy. So I'd like to be not rich, but not super broke, happy. So I'm trying to, that's why I'm studying business. And then I'm studying art just to get those skills and to feel sane in college. Because that's kind of my inspiration. I know I'm not very business inclined. I know I'm not very financially or mathematically inclined. So that's why I'm purposefully in my life studying it so that I can get better at it, so I can do it myself. Learn these skills myself, make these connections now. Art, it's an obvious, I want to get better at art, and I know I don't really like normal drawing classes, but they stretch me creatively and they stretch me skill-wise in a way I would never do for myself. I would never take the time to do a ball of charcoal. It's what I'm looking at on the wall, or like a plant in negative space, or learn all of these things. So being in class, it forces me to, and so I really enjoy that. But yeah, so that was the Q&A celebration video. I'm really sorry for the last part. It's getting a little rushed. I have to leave very soon, so I actually need to wrap this up. But I don't know what this is celebrating. I'm going to, in the assumption in my head, have it be for 9,000 subscribers. If it's more than that, that's crazy. But I don't know, I want to thank you guys so much, because it's really crazy to me, because I don't prioritize myself or my life a lot. Making this YouTube channel in the way that I have forces me to. That's why I did it in that way. And to know that that resonates with people, or that it doesn't even resonate with people, but it entertains them at least. People like that about me feels crazy. It's been very nice to be able to pour my effort and energy into something and to see something come back out of it. I don't know. The last couple years have been very tough since graduating high school. I did lose a lot of my friends just because of how busy I've been, how devoted I've been to my academics and stuff. And this has been, not really even in a parasocial way, devoting myself to my art and like to actually fulfilling my own life and what I want to do has felt really good. And so thank you guys for being here with me through it. This was for y'all. If you have any more questions, leave them below, and I'd like to do another Q&A video because I love answering questions. I love talking. I don't know how long this video is gonna be because I had to record it in clips because my camera's overheating and I need to turn it off. I don't know what my next video will be. I don't know when it will come. I don't want to give up on this because y'all haven't given up on me, so I'm not gonna give up on this yet. So thank you for watching. Thank you for liking me. Thank you for feeding my need for validation. I hope y'all have a good day. I hope y'all liked this. I have other videos if you want to check them out, and it would be really, really cool if you did. But alright, I'm gonna leave now. My camera's gonna blow up. Bye.